All right. Hello, everybody. I'm here with Shaun Attwood. I know him very well, actually. You've probably seen him from his old YouTube talk, actually, that went very viral a few years ago. He's also got a very popular true crime podcast, and the reason we're speaking with him today is his YouTube channel with almost 700,000 subscribers that hosts his true crime podcast was just deleted the other day. Good news is YouTube eventually responded and reinstated it, but half his channel is still removed. YouTube removed many videos. Many of these include videos putting a critical eye on Jeffrey Epstein, Scientology, and Bill Gates, saying that those videos are cyberbullying. So, Shaun, thanks for joining me. Give us an update. What's going on now?
Well, it's been one of the craziest weeks of my life because so much else went on behind the scenes as well that I've got to weigh my words carefully because I'm in so many legal situations. So before the deplatforming on YouTube, I think it was the day before, I was deplatformed by Facebook. I did appeal it and got it back, and I'm thinking something strange is going on. Then I got an email from the London police. So the London police, they summoned me and I took my lawyer in to go see them months ago. And they said that one of my podcast guests had mentioned the name of a child in a sexual abuse case, which is against the law. It's contempt of court. So I was up for 3 charges because of the activism. I had no idea about these laws. And they've come to a settlement with me this week, and I've got the paperwork here. And the number 3 condition, this is from the London police now. If I violate this now, I will go to prison, or I will be fined, or there will be hefty penalties levied upon me. I now have a criminal record because of the guest who came on and said those names, and because I published them, I'm liable. So that was my fault. I didn't understand the law. But now here's the restriction they put on me this week. This is from the UK government through the police. I'm now not allowed to make, create, supply, publish any media communication publication naming any child witness or victim involved in any sex abuse court case. So this came in, and then bam, the day of the many strikes happened on YouTube, whereby I woke up. They said my channel was gone for multiple violations of cyberbullying. I tweeted that, you guys have struck the same trailer, basically. It was variations of the same trailer 3 times. And the next thing, bam, 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 all the strikes just came in. Even though my channel was gone, more strikes came in, all of which I forwarded to you, Matt. And, it's not something that we had not considered. So many of our colleagues on YouTube have had this happen to them, and they've spoke to us what they've been through. One of my colleagues is a woman who I had on the channel, Anna Breeze. It happened to her a few months ago. She got her channel back up. I've watched many videos on how to get your channel back up, and we did have the team, the resources, and the public behind us. And I want to say, I'm going to hand it over to you in a second. I just want to say thank you so much, people of the world, for not letting this go. You guys stood up to YouTube. It was trending on Twitter for 2 or 3 days at Team YouTube. I thought it would die down at the weekend. Last night it went crazier. It was trending like crazy. People were starting petitions. It was just accelerating. And today, bam, woke up and it had been reversed. It's thanks to people like you, Matt. You've been a supporter. You were there. You had my back 100%. It's thanks to people like you, the people of the world, Team YouTube, and the YouTube Policy Board for helping sanity prevail in this situation. And I feel blessed to have people all over the world, the kindness of strangers. It restores your faith in humanity.
So, yeah, that's great news. And this just goes to show that luckily, if you make a large enough storm, little public outrage can get YouTube to respond. and that's great. Some things, I don't know if you've followed what's been going on here in the U.S. Lately, but our White House press secretary had announced just the other day now, earlier this week, that if you are banned from one platform, you should be banned from all platforms. I'm not making that up. Now, specifically, she was referring to COVID misinformation, but she spoke generally that if you are banned from one platform, you should be banned from all platforms. Now, if that was the case, Shaun, do you think you would have been able to muster enough, public outrage to get your channel back so quickly, or at all?
I don't know, because if I'd have been banned from all platforms, I would not have had the resources to reach out to all those people on Twitter. And I was thinking, while that was happening, YouTube's just banned me 2 days ago. What if Twitter just bans me at any moment now, and I lose my ability to get the word out? Because this seems to be the most effective way to get through to Twitter. I mean, they are responsive to public opinion. With the corona, I interviewed dozens of experts on that subject when it first came around. But as soon as YouTube implemented that policy, I deleted them all off the channel. So I've tried to be as good a YouTube citizen as possible over the 13 years. And I think that was taken into consideration. It's like when you go to court, if you've got any previous felonies, they're going to aggravate your sentence. So because I hadn't had any previous YouTube misdemeanors or felonies, I think that weighed in my favor, as well as all of the outpouring and support and some of the other things I put into the appeal.
So did you just get these first strikes in June, or had you had anything before then?
So this has all happened in recent months, and it kind of just accelerated. You think you've gone 13 years and you get a warning, and they even tell you people who get warnings are 90% unlikely to get another strike or something, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking, I'm a good YouTube citizen, and everything's going great. I've got a warning, no big deal. And then strike, and then strike, and then strike. And one strike was within 4 days of the other. And then the day of the great strikes, where it's like, bam, bam, it was nuclear war, basically. They were all just raining down upon me. So, yeah, it didn't all just happen on that day. It's built up over recent months.
And then in particular, it seems this last month, and I felt the same thing. I had never had a warning. I've been uploading to YouTube for 15 years, never even had a warning until last month. And then within 30 days, had 7 videos removed, 2 strikes, my entire channel demonetized. Now, luckily, like you, I was able to generate enough of a backlash for them to correct a lot of those errors. Many errors are still not corrected. And like personally, it sounds like, you're more willing to, delete your videos if YouTube identifies them as wrong and violating their rules. But I really question, one, whether all these rules are good. And at least in my case, and we're going to examine your videos too, are they even violating the rules at all? So let's go through, if you don't mind, could we just, I'm going to bring up your, let me frame this right. Okay. So here, I just tweeted this out. You shared a lot of the emails that YouTube sent you when they removed your video. So let's just go through them. I'm curious, what was wrong with this video that YouTube removed called Melinda Gates Concerns Over Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein?
Okay, so it's all cyberbullying violations, and no specific offense is given. They give you no details of what you've done. So you can watch a video that's, God knows how many minutes or hours long, and we're trying to guess where your infraction is, which is what we did. We passed these videos around the team, and the team was nonplussed. So we felt that we had a good case because YouTube provides that exception for high-profile people in court documented cases. And all of the cases that we've been reporting on, Epstein, Nygaard. I mean, Nygaard's son's interview was another one of the videos that we got a cyberbullying infraction, as well as the Corey Feldman interview. But we have no means of knowing what specifically was the problem. So as the frustration mounted, I thought, right, I'm going to go to YouTube's headquarters in London and try and speak to someone so I can get some guidance. So my channel will be steered in the right direction. I'll specifically know what to avoid. But when I got to YouTube's London headquarters, the security woman was very friendly. She went and asked at the reception for me if I could come in and speak to someone about this. But then they just gave her a card. This card here was what she was given. And I was back at square one, basically, because I've been going round.
That is the most useless card I've ever seen.
I was going round with customer support before this, trying to get some guidance, and that didn't work either. So I think, YouTube is a life-transforming platform, not just for me, but for my podcast guests. I've had guests come on, they say that so many, people have reached out to them. It's helped them transform their lives. But I think in terms of content creators, when we are held accountable for a violation of community guidelines, there needs to be an addition of some details of what you've done and some guidance. And only from that can we better steer ourselves in the future. Now, the YouTube community guidelines are 6 hours long, and I've been studying them religiously prior to putting this appeal in, especially the cyberbullying stuff. I had a cyberbullying activist on the podcast, shout out to Anne Dragine, and really getting up to speed on YouTube policy is essential, but YouTube policy can go beyond what we perhaps understand might be required of us. As a novice YouTuber, when you first get on, you're not going to sit down and read YouTube policy. You're just excited. You get on and you say things that may be defamation. You say things that may be a violation of the rules. But as your channel gets bigger, you have a right to be more responsible because you're influencing more people, and you've really got to take time out to look at the legal side of what you're doing.
Yeah, I understand that, but it does sound like you're being incredibly nice to YouTube, even though they just took down your whole channel and removed several of your videos and did not provide any specific, clear reason why. They just gave you general reasons. And so honestly, and like you said, so you mentioned that it seems like, so allow me to push back a little bit. I know you have to be nice because they can take down your channel any second.
Go for it.
I have a couple less strikes, so I have a little more big room. Just a little. But so you mentioned YouTube's policy and how you figured that you and your team, you thought, hey, there seems like your videos could have the exception that YouTube gives to their cyber bullying rules. And let me just go through these rules for people. Now, the exception is individuals who have positions of power, like high-profile government officials or CEOs of major multinational corporations. Well, certainly Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein, Scientology, these, people and institutions that you have taken a critical eye at in your videos, they should certainly count as individuals or institutions that have positions of power. So I don't think, what do you think? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree entirely. And perhaps some of this was algorithmic because some of it actually occurred on videos I deleted months ago. And I'm thinking that once a person in a senior position at YouTube was able to look at the big picture, then common sense and rationality and adherence to their own policy prevailed. So, the other thing is it's a complete mystery, isn't it, as to the chain of events that led to it. We will never know what led to it. There's all kinds of different theories online: trolls, false flagging, videos, Maxwell's and Prince Andrew's legal team, the powers that be getting involved. There's there's a whole range of theories in between those two things as well. But it could have been just something as simple as the algorithm programmed to try and get rid of channels that specialize in harmful conspiracies, picking up on a lot of the same words we use in our videos. Because, I mean, I've got to take responsibility for the channel becoming almost 50% content on abuse cases, sex trafficking, Epstein, Nygaard, that kind of stuff. So perhaps I went full on into something I had passion about that brought about a reaction. Because the team have said perhaps we have gone too far and too deep into that area. We need to be more diversified.
Well, okay, hold on. Now I understand, like, you might want to be more diversified if you want to be safe from YouTube, which is constantly changing their rules and everything. But I mean, what could you have done wrong? Really, truly, like, because these are topics that have been covered in the mainstream media. You know, the Epstein case, his history, Scientology. Is it Giselle Maxwell, right? Is the current
Ghislaine.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So I clearly I have not covered or followed these that closely, but I'm aware that these are covered in the mainstream media. And I'm just now you've recommended that I not play this video. This is a video that, and I'm just going to show the visuals just so people see. Okay. So this is, let's see which video. Let me pull this up. This is the Out of Shadows UK trailer. And this is one of the videos YouTube removed from your channel for allegedly harassment, threats, and cyberbullying. Now, this video, though, is, as you can see, it's, I mean, it's CBS. This is footage from CBS covering Prince Andrew's relations with Epstein. There you go. Okay, I'm not going to play any more audio just to be safe, but it's mostly just news bites, mainstream media headlines throughout the trailer. I mean, so how could you be accused and punished for cyberbullying when this video, I don't know if you made it or you just shared it from someone else, but when this video is just sharing headlines and bites from mainstream media and a little bit of commentary. I just don't understand.
Okay, so the mainstream media companies have massive legal departments which look at their scripts and advise them to give disclaimers and stuff like that here and there. When you first start on YouTube as an activist, you're just yourself. You don't have a legal department. You don't have advisors. And perhaps you're saying things in a sloppy fashion that doesn't adhere to the true laws of journalism. So, for example, Prince Andrew has not been convicted of a crime. Ghislaine Maxwell has not been convicted of a crime. You often see the mainstream media journalists adding that in when they do stories on these subjects. So this is something that I've had to learn.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, maybe it's different in the UK. I know in some areas it's different. For example, hate speech, you have hate speech laws in the UK. In the US, the individual states have hate speech laws, but the federal government does not. And then another big difference, I believe, is that in the US, I mean, unless you're printing government secrets that the government doesn't want you to hear, unfortunately, now that's no longer be allowed. It appears it's no longer allowed with the prosecution of Julian Assange. But I mean, up to that point, you know, typically you're allowed to say pretty much anything unless, with the exception of libel and defamation, which there's a very high bar for in the US. You tell me if it's different in your country, but here in the US, it has to be proven that you knowingly spewed these smears and knew that it was false. Like that's the only way you can be held accountable for it, and that's not easy to do. So, I mean, is it different in the UK? How so?
No, it's the same. Let's look at this slightly differently then. So I was allowed this fantastic platform to get a lot of people at the forefront of the Epstein cases stories told. We had Maria Farmer on before she was legally gagged, etc. You know, based on the back of all the interviews, I got my book out now, Who Killed Epstein. I think we have brought this story to massive amounts of people around the world because they were some of the most viral videos on the channel. Now, YouTube is a business and it has its own rules. And we've got to adhere by what they say. Otherwise, I've seen people just fall on their own sword time after time. They say, this is wrong what YouTube has said. I'm going to keep doing this. Then they completely lose the channel forever. Then they're blaming YouTube. And I think that's irresponsible. I think we have to work with the platforms to abide by their rules and to still get a message out in areas we can get messages out without, you know, and ending up with the mayhem I've suffered in the last 2 or 3 days, because I woke up and with my channel gone, I'll tell you, my blood pressure was just like, it was like, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. It's not a nice feel. And I'm on a high right now because it's back, back. And again, that's thanks to the kindness of these people all over the world tweeting. And you yourself, Matt, you know, out of all the YouTubers with big followings, you were one of the first to have my back. And that's why I'm doing this interview with you today, because I really appreciate what you did for me.
No, happy to. I mean, it's important to me for people not to have their, I mean, it should be important to everyone for people to not have their channels removed at the snap of a finger when they don't deserve, when they didn't actually, when it appears they didn't actually violate YouTube's rules, when it's not clear. And YouTube, like you've said, now this is interesting. I mean, maybe we can get more specific, but we've discussed how, from my perspective, I don't see how that UK Out of Shadows trailer violates their guidelines. Now, you've said that you have made some mistakes in some videos. Do you want to be specific for us?
Okay, so first of all, then, YouTube did determine, the policy review board on the termination appeal, YouTube did determine that the strikes I got were not valid. I had abided by the rules. So even though in the beginning they said UK's Hidden Shadows was a violation of the rules, which may have been purely algorithmic, a senior person at YouTube did override that and say it was within the rules. So what was the second part of the question?
Well, first, it was like if there were instances where you did break the rules, how exactly did you break the rules? Now, but let's go through that. So you said, I just want to continue where you said. So you said that trailer, Out of the Shadows trailer, YouTube did get back to you and they removed the strike. They forgave you for that. They admitted error in that case.
They've not removed the strike yet. It's too early. I don't know how they resolve all of this internally, but if you look at the appeal decision, they say that I was in compliance with the rules. Hence, all these strikes are invalid.
Okay. They actually said, well, okay, but they didn't add on that last part that strikes were invalid.
No, but they said I have not violated their rules.
Yes.
So the strikes that said I did violate their rules, that decision has been overrode by the appeal people.
We have lifted the suspension. This is YouTube's, notice to you. We can confirm that it is not in violation, that your channel is not in violation of our terms of service. Okay.
Yeah.
But you still received, but they've still removed your video. See, that's what that's what's so frustrating and alarming to me. So at the same time, they're saying that we can confirm that your channel is not in violation of our terms of service. I've checked, and all those videos are still removed. So what?
Plus many more that I've removed myself, because what happened was, once the strikes started coming in, as they started increasing, I thought to myself, right, something's going on here. They've not given me any guidance, so I need to delete everything in this genre. And I remember going on Social Blade the next day and seeing that I deleted 54 million views worth of videos, 40 something percent of the
Jesus.
channel. But that
Wow.
again, my life cycle has been one of extremes. I went through some brutal things in prison and saw some brutal things and heard some brutal stories. And it gave me a passion for helping people with addiction issues. And once I figured out that at the root cause of addiction issues was childhood sexual abuse or other trauma, it's like that CIA guy I had on who helps victims of trafficking said, once you look at stories of kids who've been sexually abused and human trafficked, it grips you in such a way you can't turn away from it. You feel like you've got to do the utmost. So my passion for it then was such that almost half the channel became those videos, but at a cost of me completely undiversified. Imagine if a mainstream media entity just half of the day long just posted stories of sexual abuse. I don't think it would sustain. There would be problems with that. But that's what my channel had become. So I have to take responsibility for that and diversify from here on out. So I took most of those videos down myself to abide by whatever was triggering YouTube that I didn't know at the time. It was a precautionary measure. And I think that also helped me in my appeal. I said, look, I wasn't given any guidance, but right away I took all these videos down, and my team trained up on cyberbullying, and we even interviewed a cyberbullying activist.
Okay. So I understand this is got to be uncomfortable to talk about, but you actually have seemed comfortable talking about it even now, but even in other videos. Like, can you just specify for the audience? Because this must sound kind of confusing, because we have identified some videos that have been removed recently that it is not clear that they were correctly removed. YouTube has even responded saying that their recent termination of your channel was wrong and that you did not violate our terms of service. So that's related to these videos I named by name earlier, correct? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to just clear up? So what exactly you did wrong before this? Just to separate these two things, because I really want to separate for the viewers. Like, okay, you acknowledge you have violated their guidelines in other videos that you've deleted yourself.
No,
and that is different. And I want you to differentiate that for our audience.
I'm not acknowledging that I violated the guidelines. Just to clarify,
Okay.
I'm acknowledging that YouTube had a problem with that genre of videos. So as a precautionary measure, I deleted, what was it? I said 50, 60 million views worth of videos, just as a precautionary measure.
Yeah. Okay.
So my thing is, I had a passion for that. I still got a passion for that. And I've took it as far as I can take it on YouTube. I have to abide by what they want from here on out. And I can now branch out into other genres where I can help other people, because the platform is still there to help so many other people from so many other walks of life. And I think that's a blessing.
Okay. So, I mean, is it safe to say that now, well, thanks for correcting me. So you do not believe that you violated their guidelines? Certainly with YouTube's response, even YouTube agrees that you didn't violate their guidelines, at least in this, this latest rampage. So, is it safe to say that you're just making the business decision? I think you may have used that term, to effectively kind of just self-censor yourself from these more touchy subjects, and so that you can help in other ways. Is that fair to say?
When I got out of prison, people who were established helped me come up in the world when I had nothing. And karmically, it is my right and duty to help other people. So, for example, my first podcast guest, he ended up with a book deal through Mirror Books. He was a guy who had nobody in this country at all. He was deported from America in American prison, where he did a 30+ year sentence for a crime he hadn't committed. He got deported back to the UK because he was found out while he was in the American prison system that he was a baby born on the Isle of Man that was sold to an American family who took him to America. He had nobody. So we ended up getting him a book deal through Mirror Books. We took him to the Isle of Man, where all the people were just so amazed by his story, and he was absolutely glowing and shining. And we're going to take him back there, and it's great to see that this platform and the followers and the viewers and the people who reach out and help these people we have on the podcast whose stories have never been told before. It's great to see them, the changes this can have on their lives.
Let's see. I enjoyed your TED Talk, and I do think I'm sure you've helped many people, and I think giving a voice to, for example, Corey Feldman, who speaks about abuse he suffered from Hollywood big shots, the Hollywood industry. I mean, it seems like that's helping the victims of abuse, and that seems like it just seems so odd to me that YouTube has taken down a video of Corey talking about his experience as a victim and saying that that's cyberbullying.
The commonality of all these videos is Epstein was named and other high-profile alleged abusers were named.
Yeah, I just... yeah, so that's, again, like, it just seems alarming to me and odd. Let's see. All right, let's see. Ask questions, anybody in the chat, if you like.
Yeah, please ask me anything in the chat. I see a lot of my trolls are in there. God bless you guys. Thank you for the views. Keep the views coming. Ask me anything right now. You've got the opportunity while I'm on a high on the restoration of the channel. I might.
So yeah, while he's feeling good for the first time in a couple of days, here's your opportunity to try to bring him down. I don't think Shaun's gonna let you, but here let's give this. Here's one. Now, honestly, I'm not familiar with this, but I saw a couple of these in the chat.
Yeah,
what is this hashtag? What is this hashtag? Daddygate. True Media is asking you. Explain Daddygate.
All right, so we were getting trolled. Good grief, how long ago was this now? I think it was last year. Yeah, we were getting trolled last year. And the trolls were, I had a victim on of trafficking. And the trolls started to say that me and this woman were on drugs and trafficking women and all this crazy stuff. So I, in an emotionally immature reaction, did a prank with this woman with her full agreement, where we reenacted the things that we were accused of, but we filmed ourselves making the reenactment. And what happened was the trolls took little excerpts of it and said that I actually snorted coke, I dressed this woman up like this, I did this, I did that. And they've been harping on about it ever since. And actual whole YouTube channels were able to get views off the back of this. But in recent months, YouTube has deleted most of them for cyberbullying. They also think I am behind that, which I absolutely am not. I've got better things to do than be filing cyberbullying complaints against troll channels. But everything bad that happens to these trolls, somehow people working for me are responsible for it.
Thanks for addressing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So let's see. What I heard something about. Okay, so they're accusing you of trying to take them down for cyberbullying, these trolls.
Yeah.
Now, how are they saying you did that? In the form of like flagging videos, or like was there any? I think I heard something about like copyright infringement or something. Did you try to do something?
Some of the troll channels did use my videos in an illegal copyright fashion. So I did actually file some copyright strikes against them, and those strikes did not take their channels down. I was just firing some shots off at them to lay off of my content. They got deleted for cyberbullying, and I think perhaps Andrew Gine has taken credit for that, the cyberbullying activist that was recently on my channel. And for the trolls in the channel right now who are saying I dressed that girl up, show me a video of me dressing that woman up. Show me the proof of your claims. You cannot prove any of your claims because it's like a mentally ill, paranoid conspiracy that you guys have concocted to try and take me down. And you guys' challenges only arose once I started exposing elite pedos. So I can only conclude that you are pedo enablers or you are working for the pedos yourselves.
And just to be clear, this video is just like an adult woman, right? Or
she was actually an adult woman in her 30s who was a sex worker.
Okay, an adult woman in her 30s.
In her 30s, who was a sex worker. And she gave, before she went to prison, she's in prison now. Before she went to prison, she made a video for my lawyer in case anything legal happened, saying the truth of everything that happened regarding her outfit, that she entirely had dressed herself up like that because she was involved with baiting pedos. It had nothing to do with dressing her up like that. And there's no proof or video of me dressing her up like that. It's all in the sick minds of these perverted trolls. They come up with more and more bizarre sexual ideas and fantasies about me every week. Last year, every week they had a different scenario built in their own sick minds. Yeah.
All right, we'll get now. Thanks for addressing that. Let's get back to this current issue of YouTube censorship. And okay, I did not know until you mentioned that some of these videos that you got punished for, you had already deleted, huh?
Yes, I was getting strikes on deleted videos. I believe the majority of the strikes were on deleted videos. And I was astounded by that the first time it happened. But after I Googled it and I read YouTube policy, it is perfectly within their rights to strike you on anything you ever publish, live streamed, deleted, or what. And they can strike you at any time. You're liable for all your content ever published.
Now, see, if it was public, I can understand. If you had already deleted it, that doesn't make sense. And in my own experience, I had the first strike I ever got, which happened last month. So strange, Shaun. I was actually making a video about YouTube censorship, and it was censored. But oddly, the one that got censored and removed, it was a rough cut that had never been public. It was never public, Shaun. Have you heard of that before?
Well, the first 3 strikes we got were on variations of the Out of Shadows, UK's Hidden Shadows trailer. And we had variations on the platform because my video editor, James, he does his edit and then puts them on the platform and I look at it through the platform. So it's a similar scenario as to what you're saying. Yeah,
so it wasn't public in those cases? Is that?
I don't know whether all 3 were published or not. They may well have been published. Huh. But the reason that we had 3 variations on the platform was because that's how my editor was sending them to me on a private basis.
Okay, yeah. So if they were on a private basis, and also, why would you publish multiple copies of the same video? So it sounds like some of them were private. Check with your editor. Let me know. I just want to confirm because I just think it's insane, and that I know it happened to me. Videos were removed from me. I was punished for it. And I had already, that's the other thing. Not only was it never public, I had already deleted it too. That's insane. So I find that very alarming. Let's see. Can we go through, let's see. I would like a specific, well, we'll just try this one more time. Give us a quick summary of this video. We'll just go one by one, like just like a sentence summary. So the Melinda Gates concerns over Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. This video that was removed by YouTube for harassment, threats, and cyberbullying, allegedly.
Yeah, so that was mainstream news all over the world. I drew heavily on the New Yorker article, which before it flared up with Melinda, the New Yorker had done a brilliant piece on how Bill Gates had financed the department at the MIT through Epstein. They did that, and how there was an internal conflict at the MIT Media Lab, whereby some of the professors were like, well, we need to take this money, just keep it on the down low. Whereas some of the females were very upset by it and were standing on principle. But the flow of the money ruled the day. So I drew on that article. I drew on an article in the Daily Mail that had highlighted the story that day. So all this was in the public domain, and it had all been reported in mainstream media. Now, but again, I must take responsibility, because mainstream media would have added disclaimers here and there, but I didn't. I was perhaps more aggressive in my approach.
Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. So for example, would that mean like you didn't use the word allegedly
Yes,
as much as?
yes.
Okay.
Didn't use the word allegedly. Didn't stop to say, I must point out that Ghislaine Maxwell is not convicted of any crimes, that Bill Clinton is not convicted of any crimes of Epstein, things like that.
But you also, I mean, I'm guessing, correct me, but I mean, did you instead say that they were convicted, or did you just like? I wouldn't think that you would, because obviously that's not news. But anyway, okay. So that was the misstep. That's what you think the misstep was. Harassment, threats, and cyberbullying still bothers me that, big names like Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein, you're not allowed to talk about real news unless you constantly just so you're going to get a video taken down just because you don't use a word allegedly.
It's algorithmic, isn't it? It's algorithmic, and then it has to go to a real person. And the problem here is Google does not allow you to access real people until you're in the direst of straits, and the public are up in arms. There's a campaign. At Team Twitter is getting bombarded. That's what it takes to get to a real person at Google, YouTube.
Okay, I want to just clarify for everybody that, of course, like you said, you should be clear when you're covering something and people are not actually convicted. Just make clear that the allegations are allegations and not facts. However, to be fair, when we read stuff in the mainstream media, that is not always made clear. If, for example, in the US, it was strongly suggested and outright claimed. Some people just outright said that Trump is a stooge of Vladimir Putin, no questions asked. And yet that would never get taken down. That stuff still exists on YouTube.
Because that didn't include child sex allegations, which are the most serious allegations you can make against a person. Once someone is tainted with that, innocent or guilty, they could carry that for the rest of their lives. So I think legalistically, when you're reporting on these stories, it requires extreme caution. And I'd just like to respond to one of the guys in the live chat. They just said, well, will Shaun tell us why he was interviewed by Child Protection? That was for the exact same thing as what has just caused the trouble with YouTube. If you didn't see the very beginning of this interview with Matt, I have just been given a caution by the London police. My paperwork is I had it with me a minute ago, and this has come about because of my activism, because a podcast guest mentioned names in a child sex abuse case, which is against the law. But what perhaps many podcast hosts don't realize is it's you, the host, that is held responsible, not the guest. I've had to learn this, and we've had to train the team up in this so it doesn't happen again. So as the publisher of that information, I was criminally liable. There was no way around it. I couldn't fight it. I was guilty as charged. And I now have had to agree just this week, and here's the third stipulation from the UK government, from the London police, not to make, create, supply, publish any media, communication, publication naming any child witness or victim involved in any sexual abuse court case ever. So I was interviewed by Child Protection because of my activism.
So you made a good point saying, yeah, accusing someone of pedophilia is the worst thing you could, say about somebody. I think that's fair. But, I don't think that I think calling somebody a traitor, whether it's Donald Trump or anyone else, Edward Snowden, that's pretty damn serious too. Or calling someone a terrorist, like the news has said many times about a publisher, Julian Assange, who hasn't physically harmed anyone with his leaks. And it's just insane. So what bothers me is not that people are trying to encourage, YouTube is trying to encourage people to exercise good journalism practices and to not wrongly smear people. My concern is, while your channel is fairly large, it's nowhere near as large as, the big media corporations. And it really seems to me that we have a two-tier system now where these media corporations, they can call Julian Assange a terrorist, like they have people call people traitors, and their videos will never get taken down. And so what concerns me most is that these rules are clearly not being enforced fairly. And I don't know, for those who are not familiar with my current situation and what happened to me recently, and I'll fill you in too, Shaun. So the latest strike, actually they didn't charge me a strike. They did remove a video though for this. But after demonetizing my whole channel, accusing me of some kind of involvement with violent criminal organizations. That's the policy they said I violated. It was over a 7-year-old comedy Starbucks commercial parody. But after that, and luckily they did admit error, I was able to get enough backlash like you were on Twitter. After that, they removed a video. Well, first, okay, when that happened, a channel by Allison Morrow, her YouTube channel, she interviewed me about the experience. YouTube censored that video. Why did they censor that video? They said it was medical. There was medical misinformation in that video. What Allison and I had done in that video is we just pointed out that CNN and NBC had violated YouTube's medical misinformation policy because they had videos up that were claiming that you didn't need masks in public and that and comparing COVID to the flu. Now, those things violate YouTube's guidelines. And we were just merely pointing out, look, it's on CNN, it's on NBC, and the videos aren't taken down. They're not being punished at all. Well, her video was removed for medical misinformation, even though it only came from NBC and CNN. Then I made a video about her video getting taken down, and I cited the same clips. My video was removed. My appeal was rejected. My video is still removed. That is wrong, and it's the perfect example of how we have this, two-tier system, this caste system where these corporations, these large media conglomerates on social media, they will never be punished for the things that they are accusing smaller channels of constantly. And in most cases, we're not even guilty of it. And I just think that's so dangerous. And it's this whole phenomenon that's happening. It's not getting enough media attention. And somebody needs to come up with, a catchy title for it, like Adpocalypse. So do you have a good title for this, Shaun? We need a title for this. What's going on?
I think that the big media companies are sued quite a lot, but they have the legal resources to absorb it, and they have connections, and they can get away with a lot more things than the smaller players. So what you described is more prevalent in that class of reporters versus activists like us. Now, we can overstep lines and be called to account quite quickly versus some big entity that has the muscles to flex that won't be called to account. And then we don't have the legal resources, to back up and defend ourselves, or, this defamation stuff, for example. I was all this stuff that I talked about, the guest who came on and mentioned the names of child sex victims in a court sealed case. There was a defamation lawsuit that came out around that time as well. And fortunately, I was dropped out of that lawsuit by doing an apology video. But the woman, the podcast guest, she basically put a notice on social media saying that she was quitting for the immediate future because of the drain, the mental drain, no doubt the financial drain, the time involved to defend a defamation lawsuit. So if you're just one person trying to do that on your own, it can ruin you financially, morally, mentally, demoralize you. But versus a huge conglomerate who just refers it over to the legal department. So we have to tread very carefully with these issues. And I've last year, we start out on YouTube, we're so excited, we're gung-ho, and we do cross lines and say things without legal backing. We're sloppy, and we don't have legal departments. But then your channel gets to a certain size and you are held to account, and you've got to get up to speed real fast or you get nuked.
In the case of the Corey Feldman thing, everybody in the comments, we need a new term for this new YouTube rampage. Okay, come up with it. Somebody come up with it. So now, in the case of, let's say, the Corey Feldman video that was removed from your channel. Now you mentioned, journalists and shouldn't be sloppy. But the thing is, journalists are sloppy all the goddamn time in the mainstream media. And I know I'm repeating myself a little bit, but I'm curious about this Corey Feldman interview. So it just seems that YouTube took down. It seems strange. I can understand what you're saying, but in this case, I haven't seen it. So you tell me if it really is just Corey Feldman speaking about his own experience as a victim of sexual assault.
Mainly, yes, but we also discuss Epstein and other high-profile abuse cases.
Mm. But did you outright say that Epstein molested Corey Feldman? Did you?
No, but Corey Feldman did talk about some Hollywood star as well that had allegations against him, but he was never convicted, from a very famous family of actors. Mm-hmm. It's probably best to stay away from the name in this video.
Okay, yeah, we won't mention it, but I just want the audience to think about that. That's troubling. Now, I completely agree. Calling someone a pedophile when they're not is that's just one of the worst things you can say about somebody. But this is a victim of abuse. I don't know, but they claim to be a victim of abuse. They've been saying this for a long time. And if they're not, YouTube is literally saying, by removing this video, they say that this victim of abuse talking about their abuse and their abuser is harassing, threatening, and bullying the sexual abuser. Just talking about the abuse is bullying the abuser. Just think about that, everyone. And it just seems this if you don't think this can't be abused and isn't being abused right now, I just think about it.
And I think it's that original tweet I did saying the nature of the videos that had been struck that got the public up in arms because of exactly what you just said. It appears on the surface that these policies are protecting abusers. But again, once a real human being looked at it, it was reversed. So abusers, alleged abusers, should cyberbullying laws be applied to them with the same stringency that they're applied to people who aren't convicted of such crimes or alleged to be involved in such crimes? That's
the thing. Yeah. Because if someone is alleging it, then they're alleged. I mean, are you not allowed to? How can you not be allowed to? How can you have your video removed if you're alleging something because it's not alleged? You're alleging it. Are you not allowed to allege these things? You know what I mean? I understand the problem. This is the problem. This is just a human problem, a problem with free speech. Like, yes, with free speech, you can falsely accuse people of terrible things. That is horrible. And you should face consequences for it if it's proven in law that you maliciously lied about it. That's called libel and defamation. But you shouldn't have your videos taken down unless that can be proven that you were maliciously lying, that this was libel. It's just so disturbing.
It is disturbing, but it was resolved to the satisfaction of the public.
Okay, well, hold on. So now you said YouTube admitted they were wrong, and we saw that response when they didn't apologize, but when their response to bringing your channel back. But this video is still removed, right? The Corey Feldman interview is still removed, right? Or no?
Yeah, plus all the other videos that I've removed myself, and it's all going to stay removed because when YouTube terminates your channel, you've antagonized them, I believe, just reading between the lines. You've antagonized them, in my case, I believe, by having a disproportionate amount of videos on that dark content. So if I just resumed back on YouTube with that same quantity of dark content, I'm just asking to be terminated again. I appreciate the opportunity YouTube provides. And I'd like to add here, not just by their policies, but by the spirit of what I believe they are translating those strikes were about.
I respect your decision to make the smart business move and stay away from, this content that YouTube flags. But I want to speak to the audience again with just how dangerous this is, and that YouTube is literally making people self-censor themselves about issues that I believe people should be free to discuss.
Let's ask the chat. Come on, chat. Ask us some questions.
Yeah.
I've got to get going in about 10, 15 minutes. So ask me your toughest questions. Come on, trolls. I've answered what you've thrown at me so far. What else you got on me? Nothing. No proof of anything. You ask ridiculous questions without any proof over and over again. And you're fixated on these things, these fantasies in your own wacko minds.
I'm going to
ask me. You've got the opportunity right now to ask me anything you want. Please bring it on. Bring it on. Come on.
I have a question. So people, what is a nonce? I don't know what that is.
So in the UK, nonce is the word for pedo.
Oh God.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah,
Let's see.
One of the things is that I pay for my own subs. That's great. I spent 13 years building my channel. They got nothing. Anyone got anything serious to ask me? Come on.
I'm scrolling through, but I'm not. Let's see.
Why did I hit him with 6 false copyright strikes? Those copyright strikes were not false. They were legit. But you played a loophole in YouTube's copyright strike process whereby when you appealed the strike, you provided false name and address and telephone number information, and YouTube gives you, I think it's like 2 weeks or 10 business days to file a lawsuit against that person. Otherwise, the videos are reinstated. So A, I couldn't file a lawsuit against you because you gave false identity information. And B, I wasn't going to spend that money filing a lawsuit against you anyway in the first place. I was just firing a warning shot at you to stay away from plagiarizing my videos and taking little snippets out and making me look in the worst way possible by piecing things together to suit your own false narrative.
So I haven't seen these videos, but I do a lot of fair use myself. And so if these videos were just commentary on your videos and even you, and assuming it did not go into their category of harassment, threats, and cyberbullying, then that is legal. So how were these videos different than just a video where you snip one of your videos and comment on your video?
Some of these videos were just entirely my videos with little bits they'd added here and there. And the videos did constitute a violation of the cyberbullying policy as well. And I think that's why these guys lost their channel in the end, because Andrew Guine, cyberbullying activist, reported them and got the police involved. That's what she has announced on her platforms.
What channel was removed?
So there was a channel called What Is Truth, which was about 90% cyberbullying videos about myself. That person had multiple channels, has spawned other little channels. And there's still one big, well, I won't say big, in the scale of troll channels, there's still one left. I'm not going to say the name. I don't want to promote it. I'll tell you after the. But Andrew Guine said she's on the brink of getting that channel eliminated for cyberbullying as well.
So okay. Sounds like you agree with YouTube that they should have this kind of harassment, threats, and cyberbullying policy, while I am more concerned with it being abused. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when it comes to troll channels who are calling you a pedophile, a human trafficker, you're back on drugs, whose videos and channels are 90% of the content is just this message over and over again with no evidence. They're not saying you're alleged this, alleged that, and showing some evidence. They're just saying these things over and over again. For example, the last live stream the What Is Truth channel did, before the channel was removed, I believe, by Andrew Guine, there was a moment in it where a viewer called in and said, I'd love to, I'm paraphrasing, I'd love to come across Shaun Attwood on the street. I want to get my hands around his neck and strangle him to death. And the interviewer, What Is Truth, the Wheezy guy, said his response was 100%. Around that time, we had so many death threats called into my podcast studio. I woke up one morning with the podcast studio owner so much in fear, he'd called the police out.
Now that is inexcusable.
Yeah.
And they should be punished for that. But aren't there already laws that that would punish them for that outside of YouTube? There are government laws that someone will face punishment if they do make a death threat or call the police, make false calls with the police and accusations.
The thing is, these troll channels are run by invisible cowards who provide false names and addresses to YouTube when you copyright strike them, because YouTube then sends you their info. These are invisible cowards who are operating and skirting around the law from international locations. So if something happens at my podcast studio and someone using a VPN who's in a foreign country has managed to call, these death threats in, it's impossible to trace these people. So the police, according to Andrew Guine, it's been problematic to trace back who these people are. And use the fair means of the law to inflict punishment upon them, like an invisible enemy of cowards.
I feel like the government must be able to, the police must be able to. I mean, there's no question the technology is there to track these people down. I guess it's a question of, are they willing to put their resources towards that, or just, keeping Julian Assange surveilled and locked up for the rest of his life. So let's see. I'll just want to a couple more minutes. I appreciate you spending the time and explaining this, going through this crazy story you've experienced. Someone just
asked another question. What about the GoFundMe? My GoFundMes have all been investigated by GoFundMe because the trolls reported them, and GoFundMe was sent all the receipts showing that those GoFundMes went to the relevant person. The original theory was I needed podcast equipment. I'm running scams and all this stuff. Again, these are conspiracies in the minds of trolls that have any proof whatsoever. I'm on perfectly good terms with GoFundMe. They've looked at all the receipts. They've looked at all the bank statements. There has never been a fraudulent GoFundMe run. And the donors to those GoFundMes are still helping and working with the people that money was raised for. And it's a shame that outsiders claiming to be concerned citizens who are really trolls can intervene and cause those GoFundMes to be shut down and those resources to those people stopped. It's an absolute travesty.
I'm glad you were able to take this opportunity to respond to those accusations. I want to return to just about people harassing you. Yeah. You have a large channel. You're a successful guy, confident guy, seem like a very confident guy. You've been through hell, even outside of YouTube. So you've been to prison, under terrible conditions, which you describe well. You tell a great story in your TED Talk. So having been through all that, and being, one of the larger YouTube channels on YouTube, I mean, what do you say to people who would argue, I mean, if you can take all that, why can't you just handle a small YouTube video from a smaller channel that's, making fun of you or, hating on you?
Because when you interview a victim of trafficking and you see the sad life that person has had, abuse from an early age, and then all of a sudden, evil people, there's madness and hatred towards sex workers. Evil people just step up and try and call child services to have that person's kid taken away. When evil people step up and report a GoFundMe and say this money has been used to take drugs and traffic women, when evil people step up and make real world, dark and dangerous things happen for someone who's been through so much horrible things in their life, it then makes me want to react and lose my cool and take action to stop that from happening. And that was the situation that happened last year. We did at the peak of it, we did a distasteful prank. It backfired, and I paid the consequences of that. And I apologized to my subscribers. It was distasteful. I'm desensitized from prison, and I didn't understand the blowback that was going to occur. But my passion and my aggression around that time, aggression towards trolls, was rooted in the harm I saw caused by predators to people in prison who were heavily addicted to heroin. And when I got out, I embarked on my mission to expose what was going on in the prison systems. And as I interviewed more and more people, more and more guests, and childhood sexual abuse became this reoccurring theme, I set the channel mission statement too. We are going to end the war on drugs and take all those resources and take it to incarcerate and investigate predators, because everything in the justice system is upside down. So I got so passionate about what I was doing. When these trolls stepped up, I lost my cool, and I feel it now. Just talking to you about it, I feel that aggression against these sick individuals rising back up. So I've got to stay grounded when it comes to this subject. Yeah, and perhaps for my own mental health, it's just as well that my YouTube channel now has to pivot in a new direction. We will be helping people to the best of our ability. We will still be helping all the victims of sex trafficking we've helped over the years. We'll be helping them from behind the scenes, and we'll be helping many more people who come forward whose stories have been unheard, people who've come out of prison, people who are vulnerable, people who've come from, have had things happen to them that have set them on these paths. But obviously, we can't go the big name super predators. We're going to have to drop the coverage of those cases on YouTube.
Sounds like a plan. You were so open to welcoming the haters here and answering their questions. Will you be so welcoming? Do you also just welcome them to continue their hate on YouTube as long as they exercise fair use?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I welcome the views. I welcome them to criticize me.
It does lead to more views for you.
I welcome their views. I welcome them to criticize me in a normal way that criticism is allowed online, not violating cyberbullying. And my main thing that switched me into an aggressive mode against them was their attacks on vulnerable people I'd interviewed, on victims of horrible things. And you got to think about the damage you're doing to these people. They're already traumatized. Some of them end up in prison where we re-traumatize them with horrendous conditions. And then when they get out of these situations, people go after them online and say horrible things about them when they're trying to rebuild their lives. Think about the effect that's happening on the mental state of those people. People need to be inspired and have positive energy to do well in life. Look, I've been through some pretty hardcore things in the jail. Criticize me all day long. It's water off a duck's back, but leave the podcast guests alone. Some of them are vulnerable, sensitive. They've gone through horrendous things. They're suicidal, and you could tip them over the edge. They need positive energy. They need inspiration. They need, and it's mostly that. All the guests, 99% of the feedback that comes in, the comments, it's all love and support.
Yeah.
But the trolls get a disproportionate amount of focus because they know how to work the system to get these reactions.
Don't give them the focus. People need to not give them the focus. But you've certainly handled it well in this interview. Thanks so much for joining me. Before I give you the last word, I want to be clear. I absolutely want to discourage harassment, threats, and cyberbullying. You can feel that way and also be concerned about how these YouTube rules can be abused. And it seems like they may even be being abused with your own channel currently. And before I give you the last word, I just want to ask everyone to help me get my damn video back, which is still down. And all it did was call out NBC and CNN for violating YouTube's rules. How is YouTube letting that stay up, but take my video down? That's my concern, is the unfair enforcement. That's my major concern. Shaun, again, thanks for joining me. Last word.
Matt, I absolutely salute you. Out of all the big YouTubers, you were the first to have my back. You were vocal. You were online about it. I'm here. I support you. If there's anything and the followers, if there's any videos or any tweets you want retweeting, any messages to Team YouTube you want, I'm there for you, brother. You just let me know it's going to be done like that. To the public, you stepped up to the plate in a way I could not believe. It was trending on Twitter for 2 or 3 days at Team YouTube. It is thanks to you guys that common sense has prevailed, that senior staff at YouTube took a hard look at this and saw that it was within the limits of their policy and have restored the channel. So to you, the people all over the world, the supporters, I love you. I thank you. To my team, I love you. I thank you. We have just, had so many meetings during this crisis. I feel like this studio has become like the headquarters, the war room in the last few days. My brain was like, woo, out here. It's going to take a bit to settle down. But to my team, you stood by me. You have supported me. We're producing this great content. We are enabling people to get their stories out there. And the platform is still there for us to do it. So I'm just so grateful today to YouTube as well, Team YouTube, for the decision that was made by the appeal board. And I can't thank everybody enough. I know I'm on an absolute high. And you guys, whatever questions you've got in the chat, you've been on there tonight. You've asked us questions, some soft, some easy. I appreciate all your questions, and I would like to answer your concerns to the fullest of my ability if you are calling me out on anything. But when you do ask me stuff, and when you do hear these trolls claiming things, there's one question to ask every single time. Show us the proof. Show us Attwood doing this. Where is the proof? Is there a video of him doing this? Where is the proof? And a lot of your questions will be answered and ended just at that, because there isn't any proof of the majority of the madness of what these things are claiming. But the majority of the comments coming in on my platform, I love and support. And thank you so much to everyone all over the world, and good people like Matt for calling the big platforms into question over what is going on in this era of increased censorship. And for YouTubers, you've got to ask yourself, do you want to fall on your sword, or do you want to comply if you want the privileges of being on the big platform? And that was the decision I had to make. All
right. Someone's accusing me of something now, Shaun. They say I have a mullet. It's not a mullet. I have longer hair in the front too. Okay, just want to clear that up. But maybe I do need a haircut. That's a fair comment. All right. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cyberbully you. There for being bald.
If I had hair, I would have it like Matt. Leave me
alone. All right. With
Shouts out to the Attwood Army. Down with Wheezy and what is truth. Thank you, Androgyny. Cheers,
ending
brother.
the broadcast now. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, brother.